All right. So this week's top five, we talked about it last week. We teased it. It's going to be the top five most unlikely postseason heroes. So you can expect a lot of Orioles and Nationals in mine. Shout out. My number five is Steve Pearce, former Oriole, 2018 World Series for the Red Sox. He gets traded to the Red Sox halfway through that year. In the World Series, he hit 3 home runs, including 2 in Game 5, and took home the World Series MVP. So shout out Steve Pearce. Number 4, it's going to be Edgar Renteria, 2010 World Series, 412 in that series with 6 RBIs, and he was the MVP of that series. Number 3 is going to be Travis Ishikawa. So back-to-back Giants. 2014 NLCS was insane. Game-winning RBI in Game 1. Game 5 walk-off with a 3-run homer. Sends the Giants to the World Series that year. He batted .385 in the NLCS. So shout out Travis Ishikawa. Number 2 is going to be a national. It's going to be Howie Kendrick. His 2019 postseason is the stuff of legend. The NLDS against LA, a 10th inning grand slam to give the Nationals the win, NLCS MVP. And then in the World Series, Game 7, we've talked about it last week, he had the go-ahead 2-run home run off the foul pole. I love Howie Kendrick so much. And then my number 1 pick, it's going to be Delman Young, his double in Game 2 of the ALDS for the Baltimore Orioles against the Tigers. I mean, I was at that game, so I'm a little bit biased, but I mean, his career at that point, he went from like first overall pick and he bounced around a little bit. And then to have that big pick or a big hit, he's just a cult hero forever in Baltimore after that. So Delman Young, number 1.
I like that list, and I'm going to steal one because I just have to because I loved it so much. But I'll put him at 5 for it. Howie Kendrick, man, that postseason run was just I was loving watching that. So I gotta go with him at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Chris Colabello from the Blue Jays. He was an offseason waiver claim that year, and he ended up hitting .321 with a .520 slug in 101 games for Toronto that year, and was crucial for their playoff run, excuse me. And then number 3 is going to be Craig Counsell, Brewers manager, back with the D-backs. And Luis Gonzalez had the Game 7 walk-off off Mariano Rivera that year, but Counsell homered in Game 1 to kind of set the tone, and he ended up he was the NLCS MVP, and that just kind of set the tone for the rest of that series. Number 2, I don't really know why, but I always liked Edgar Renteria. Can't really tell you why. I think it's because he was pretty good in whatever video games I was playing back then. I had absolutely no affiliation with him, but he's number 2 for the Giants. Apparently, he gave a big-time speech to the Giants that year and ended up with hitting .412 with 6 runs and 6 RBIs in the World Series with the game-winning homer in Game 5 and was the MVP. So he is number 2. And then number 1, I had to go with my guy, Mike Brosseau from the 2020 Rays. His story's great. I hope we get him on here this offseason. Undrafted out of college. Worked his way up there and just that year played a great role with the Rays. But that season in Yankee Stadium with 2 outs in the 9th, Aroldis Chapman threw a ball at his face that barely missed it, and he ended up striking out to end the game. And there was a little kerfuffle after that. The benches cleared as Chapman kind of stared him down and walked towards him. Fast forward to the AL Division Series in San Diego that year, 2020. He put together one of the best at-bats I have ever seen, and I was watching it live, which ended, I forget how many pitches it was. It had to be at least 10, 12. Ended with a homer off Chapman that gave us the win and advanced us to the next round, and was a sweet, sweet payback for what happened earlier in the year. So he had to be number 1.
I love that list, man. Yeah, I was a big Edgar Renteria fan too, at like MVP baseball, like 2005. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I always was. No
he bounced around a little bit. I love that cool batting stance with the bat way up here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was big Renteria guy too.
Edgar Renteria.
Yeah,
big fan. Hope you come on the pod.